Hi, my name is Leroy. Welcome to my TED Talk on how to use digital literacy for struggling readers. During this developing interpretations segment, I want to describe that digital storytelling allows all types of learners to become fully engaged in specific content addressed within the class environment. Also allowing students to interact with hypertext allows students to have control and manipulate the information online for better comprehension purposes. Oftentimes students don't feel like they have control or manipulation over printed text because it's already there for them and they can't physically do anything with it. Finding the effective points to assess students makes the teacher's expectations more clear to students. Having multiple levels of depth and concentration makes students more aware of the different aspects it takes to create a digital story and maintain an author's voice. So using digital stories, it is very important for struggling readers to know what they are supposed to be doing within the story. If they do not know the purpose of what they're doing while they're creating it, then it will come off not the way they intended it to come off originally, and then they have difficulty actually finding their voice within their piece. Students are more motivated when they know that their work will be online and will be published for their peers to see. Giving students power over their work is crucial in the development of their voices, both as a social voice and their written and reading voices. When a teacher knows his or her students' interests, he or she can plan effectively to combat struggling readers. Struggling readers need differentiated learning. If they do not receive differentiated learning in the classroom environment, it is very difficult for them to focus on specific skills they need to learn. But they must still feel integrated with the entire classroom environment, that they still feel equal and not as though they are struggling or that they are lesser than. These programs such as Microsoft Word and Windows Movie Maker and YouTube and Corbis.com reduce the amount of information that a student receives in order to help them determine the importance of what he or she is reading or writing or creating. And that's so crucial in making everything a lot more, in a way, reduced or compact so that the students can get the most out of the very minimal information that they will receive. Digital video read-alouds are useful for ELL and remedial students more than proficient and advanced level students because it engages them in the content. Oftentimes struggling readers struggle with the reading because they're not engaged in the content. There's no prior knowledge that's activated in the process. These students are more prone to verbalize their connections with the digital video read-alouds without worrying about the constraints of writing, which come with grammar and all kinds of specifics that typically discourage them from writing or communicating. Teachers must make sure they scaffold students and use direct instruction with technology before they use any of this technology in the classroom, so that the students know that the technology is used for learning and not recreational purposes. The teacher must also show how they want the technology to be used for struggling readers, because they might lose their concentration while they're trying to put their digital stories together. So the teacher must have specific goals and expectations with the usage of the technology. And finally, teachers need to realize that motivation is not the only factor that contributes to struggling readers. There are cognitive disabilities, and there are also social identities. Their social identities play a role in their inability to read or write at a proficient level. Teachers need to understand that the reasons some of their struggling students do not participate in class is that they are trying to uphold a specific social role. They don't want to be identified as struggling readers, or they want to be identified as equals among the class. So the teacher must really observe in the guided instructions and the small group instruction what their students do and the personality of the students, so they can know what fits for those students when they're struggling. For my personal response, I would love to bring in these specific programs that are already free and available to most public school and private school and charter school systems. One is Microsoft Word. The feature within Microsoft Word I think is so crucial that I just kind of enlightened me as well while I was learning. It was the auto summarize feature. This feature allows a student to copy and paste with their manipulatives offline, or I mean online. They can copy and paste, like, let's say, a journal article about, let's say, higher education, and they can post it in Microsoft Word, and then they can choose an auto summarize feature, and it can do either 25% or half a page or however much you need to summarize, and it'll summarize the major points or just at least reduce the reading so that the reader can get the gist of things. This is so crucial in the goal of determining importance and monitoring fluency and self-monitoring and correcting for students who are struggling readers in their comprehension skills. Another program that I think would be lovely is Corbis.com. There's a plethora of images, free images, that are available to the student, and it's a search engine similar to Google Images, but the resolution is a lot more clear, and it doesn't need much manipulation like the program Photoshop, but it has a lot more to it. It's a little bit more confusing. These pictures are already clear for use. They're easy to copy and paste within any program like Microsoft Word or PowerPoint for students to create their digital stories, and even in Windows Movie Maker. Another program that I would love to use for struggling readers are Windows Movie Maker to synthesize all of what I was talking about, digital storytelling, how important it is for struggling readers to visualize these things through a digital idiom. Windows Movie Maker allows the user to use videos, pictures, and sound clips to create a story on a storyboard, and also affect the transitions between each slot or each page or each position that they have things in. This program also is kind of the publishing or finishing touches of your digital story. Once the students have moved from the original storyboard on paper with drawing pictures and writing things to reference the pictures or the scenes, now they can put these things together with narration from their own voices through recording, or they can find clips online of music that applies to their topic. This program is great, and it's free, and it's available to all school systems. And finally, the free yet controversial website YouTube is a great place for students to put their finished work on, because they're often more motivated when they know their peers or an audience out there is truly trying to, view their work. They feel like they need to give more to the work because it's on YouTube. It's a great place to also find other ideas for digital stories when a student has a stump. Often struggling readers feel like they have writer's block as well, or they're crammed in and there are no ideas coming out. YouTube is a great place for them to get some ideas and to share some ideas with some of their friends or other people, but within limitations, of course, because the teacher has to monitor all of this for the safety of the students, because some things on YouTube are not appropriate for them to do. In my critical response, I think a lot of these researchers, I've actually researched from elementary, middle, and high school seniors, especially the 4th and 6th grade elementary and middle going into the 7th grade, and the senior high schoolers. What I've researched is that digital storytelling is extremely useful in activating prior knowledge, in synthesizing what students are learning about educational technology, bringing everything together to make a story, visualizing and self-monitoring and fluency, and self-correcting, and also determining importance. Digital storytelling really aids comprehension within the classroom of all ages. I guess my response and my criticism would be that these authors focus a lot on either the technology and or the role of students as struggling readers. I wish there was a little bit more of a connection sometimes between technology and the struggling readers. The people who focus more on the struggling readers talked about how their identity and how motivation plays a role in their how they struggle from day to day with their reading. And the people who focus on technology focus mainly on this is what a teacher should do with the technology to assist their students in their learning. But I wish they would have combined it more together on this is what a teacher can do with the differentiated learning they're providing to their students with digital storytelling to assist the identities within the room that the students are trying to uphold in a way that they feel more motivated and more engaged within the content to actually push past the struggling reader situation. Digital storytelling and digital read-alouds, video read-alouds are very crucial for ELL and remedial and also all students because they feel more prepared and more engaged within the content, and oftentimes struggling readers struggle with new readings because they don't feel prepared like they're properly prepared or introduced into the text. This gives us a chance as teachers to provide more preparation, more prior knowledge activation, and more motivation and interest within actually what we're trying to teach the students. I thoroughly agree that teaching students out of interest and also teaching students to be challenged and to challenge their ways of thinking is so crucial. And I think digital storytelling really encompasses all of those things by encompassing different technology, different skill sets, how to comprehend, how to decode, and how to also create authentic writing and authentic video creations that often we would not be able to receive in just the printed form or the written form with a paper and pencil. So that's my TED Talk. I am so glad that you had the time to spend this with me, and I hope this has informed you on how to really assist your struggling readers in your class soon. Thank you very much. Good night.